As you all know, I'm working with Tom, my stylist. He's a genius. He got a brilliant taste and a really good eye for trends that are working out right now and seeing things in the future. You know what I mean? He's really very passionate about fashion and yeah, is able to have a vision of what could be the next big thing. So this is one part that definitely is bonded to the way I look, actually. The second thing is that I'm bored easily. Actually, I bore myself quickly. So this is why I have to change constantly. When it comes to Conchita and the way I'm sitting here in front of you, well, there is, to be completely honest with you, I created Conchita like in 2011-10. I created her as a very loud and trashy and over the top drag character. And I found out quickly that I'm basically not that kind of a person. I can be loud and annoying and over the top, but I can't do it like in an authentic way, if that makes any sense. So I changed that, and then I wanted to be a little bit more, glamorous and sophisticated. So I started wearing gowns and the whole big deal. And for Eurovision, I think the Conchita with the big waves and the thick lashes and this golden dress was the peak. And I think, if I'm completely honest, that was everything that I could achieve with Conchita the way she was meant to be. And what I'm doing now is actually bending her in new directions so that I still feel entertained and excited about the things that I do. On a serious note, I think actually I would need a new character. Actually, I think that I feel the need of creating something completely new, because I think for me the bearded lady, as I said, I did everything with the bearded lady that I could in terms of how I wanted her to be. In the first place, it was really just to entertain myself, and because of the reaction I got by different kind of people, I found out quickly that I can do way more than just entertaining myself with this bearded face, and that I can make entertainment and a serious side to it. And I love that, don't get me wrong, I still love it to be able to sit in talk shows and talk about meaningful things. But yeah, as I said, the golden Conchita was the perfect version of her, and everything what I do now is basically creating a new character in an existing character. I'm not whining here, and I'm not complaining, because I have a fabulous life, and because of the Eurovision and everything that happened, I'm allowed to do those things that I do now. And I'm aware of the fact that Conchita is a brand. It is a bearded lady, it is certain expectations linked to this persona. So I can't say, okay, that was fun, but now I want to do something completely different. That would not work, because not just because of you, my fans that fall in love with me the way I look now, or the things that I say now. Well, it wouldn't change a thing if I looked different. I would definitely say the same things, but I'm aware of the fact that you have a little bit of a responsibility. And also on the business side, I have partners like record labels and so on and so on. You can't just say, oh, well, Conchita now is dead. Well, the thing is, it's a little bit like breaking up with somebody. I'm not good at this because I'm a very loyal person, and I really need to make every experience so that at the end of the day I can really say, okay, it is something for me still, or no, I have to quit. So I'm in this process where I think that the peak was the golden dress, if you put it that way. So, and now I'm circling around and trying out new things, and I don't want to let her down, basically, because I think, I can bend her, and I can make it a little bit more edgy, and I can be a little bit more rock and roll with it or whatever. And we'll see, you know, one day, probably I'm just doing this for the rest of my life, creating a new version of Conchita, you know, probably that's the way it works out. But now I think that I would love to go for a whole different look. But this is, yeah, as I said, I can't really do that. I mean, I can play around with it in a small area, but I can't say like, you know, let's shave the beard and I will be a blonde country singer. It comes back to these responsibilities I have now because of this win and because of my appearance. I got many partners and then I got many deals done because they wanted exactly that. And so I can't really say, well, I'm not doing it anymore. To get that straight, I would never do anything that I don't love, you know. So if I would become a blonde country singer, I would do it because I love country, and I really do love country music. So that is not really that far away, but I can't really go out of character and do something completely new. I mean, I can do it on the side. You know, this is definitely something that I'm thinking about, but again, I can't shave my beard if I have an appointment and I need to be Conchita and have a beard, you know. I'm obsessed with hair. I just love hair, and the more hair there is, the happier I am. So I'm fighting for every hair on my body. Oh my God, it is like Oprah what we are doing here. So yeah, you know, I just feel comfortable being even more edgy than I used to be, because Conchita, you know, was, as I said, then in this Eurovision time, really polished, really sophisticated, really like first lady-esque. And that was fun for a certain amount of time, but now I feel like doing a little bit more edge, a little bit more dirt, if you might, and it's kind of the way that I'm going. Oh, I totally understand that people get confused a lot, because, I mean, they got confused just because I'm a bearded drag queen, right? So that was something to take in for them. And now I'm changing constantly. But although I love my fans and I'm really thankful and happy that I have people who are supporting me, I need to be happy with what I'm doing, and I need to be authentic. You know, as soon as I feel I press myself into a corset, what I did, it starts to become unnatural and not the way it should be at the end of the day. You know, and I feel it immediately when I watch back at some interviews I did in 2014, and I had a period of time where there were 3 weeks in a row every day out 8-hour sessions of interviews, you know, and I saw that the closer the end came of every day, you know, not that I turned bitchy, but, you know, I was, you know, a little bit reserved and tired and annoyed and whatever, and that's just not the way it should be. You have to imagine, and again, I'm not whining, and I know that there are drag queens out there, they're dedicating their life to drag, you know, like really, and working very hard, and I consider myself as a hardworking artist, but, you know, I kind of like it to be more comfortable these days. And being cinched for 8 hours and sitting on your tuck for 8 hours, tuck basically means that you look like a female down there. And that's just painful. And I stopped doing it because I thought, well, you know, let's create your own way of drag or whatever that could mean. Yeah, so this is probably also a reason. Get rid of things that are holding me back. Yeah. I think that the songwriting process and the whole me diving into my personality, into my past, into my present, into the things that I dream of, there was hardly any time for that the last 2 years, to sit back and think, because I was constantly on the run, which I loved, and I would love to do it again. But I really appreciate the time that I have now to experience new things, to meet new people, to try out things out of my comfort zone. The only consistency in life is change, right? So, and this is, yeah, the way it should be. And with the whole songwriting process and being really open about my feelings, the way I feel right now, what I experienced in the past, that all, that it all showed up in the songs that I've made over the last few months. And so, yeah, it is a change that was probably very natural, because I've written all those songs as Tom, So probably it's me getting my Tom part of it, because it's basically mine. You know what I mean? It sounds so silly. There's not really a rival between Conchita and Tom, but I feel more and more that my man side is coming through way more than before, because it's just a natural way that things. Yeah. Back in the day, I say like it would be a gazillion years ago, but in 2014, remember, I really wanted to be referred to as a female and say that she is a singer, a female singer, and whatever, and I would turn around if any one of you backstage would yell, "Hey Tom, can you just sign that?" And I would say, "Excuse me," and that was fun, don't get me wrong, because I hope I never was unpolite, but it was fun to play around and to educate people and to show them that it is a kind of a respect thing for me, or was back then. It still is flattering if people really stick to the story and respect the figure that they are seeing right now. But these days, I don't really care anymore if people say he or she, or if it's Tom or not. I mean, I don't really want to share my not painted face with the world. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know I'm not Lady Gaga, so it's not that 1,000 of paparazzis are following me, but it is nice in some situations to not be that exposed, and that you can, have too many drinks at a club and nobody would recognize you. As you said, I have many fans who are following me since I'm 17, and I did this casting show with Tom, and I did the boy band, and it's weird because I'm basically kind of going back to my roots, because it's Starmania, that was the show was called, that is, you know what I mean. I'm going basically back to my roots, because at Starmania I always wore a little bit of mascara and a little bit of eyeshadow and some dramatic costumes and stuff, so I think that I'm kind of going back there, just with long hair. And a beard, because with 17 there was no beard. And it's interesting that people now are commenting more on the look, because I'm going back to where I came from. We had huge meetings where we discussed things. Would she say that? Would she do this? And I think we all found out, the whole team and myself including, is the more honest I am, the happier I am, the more fun I have, the more creative I am, I think, because there are no boundaries. I as you just said, I put so many boundaries on myself, actually, because I said I can't do that, and sometimes I step back and I'm like, I'm the only one saying that I can't do it, because nobody ever said to me, you're not allowed to do this or that. So everything that I do because I told myself I have to, or I have not to. It was definitely easier to stick to a certain story, because this is where for a certain amount of time, I know what to deliver in kind of way. Because in the very beginning it was really easy, because I had this fairy tale story that Conchita grew up in Colombia and had a husband, and her father was at the theater, and her mom as well, but she's not able to speak Spanish. So all those silly little stories, they were entertaining somehow. But then it just dull, and I did not want to continue talking about that. I did not know in 2014 when I won that this is the high peak, and that this is the highest level that I could achieve with Conchita. I did not know that back then. And maybe I'm going to change my mind in the future, but now I think that Conchita, as she was supposed to be in my head, was this diva, 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 diva. In you know, in every direction I see that with all the role models I had, from Celine Dion to Shirley Bassey, whatever, you know, that was my inspiration to pull that look off. And now I'm basically looking for new things and letting go of the things that are holding me back. Oh, I think what I mean about peak is not really the artistic side, it's really about the look. And with the look, everything came together so well, you know, the whole sophisticated appearance and talking, having serious conversations, and, you know, it was just, that was so logical. You know, she said quite, not really conservative things, but she had manners and she was graceful and light, you know, and yeah, like a real lady. That just felt so natural and so logical, that she looks like this, says those things and sings this kind of songs. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by peak, because that was the Conchita that I saw. This diva who is singing those big production numbers and sitting very elegantly at a talk show. That's what I mean about peak. It's not that I think that's the greatest thing that I could achieve and now it's down from here, it's downhill. You know, that's not the way I see it, because otherwise, as you said, I wouldn't, you know, I could go home right now.
Yeah, very good. I'm happy now because
rip off the wig and go home. But artistically and for my music, obviously, I want to do music for the rest of my life. And this creating characters and things it's just to entertain myself, I think, and to push my borders and slip into new characters so that you can learn more about yourself. That's so weird, but it really works. You know, obviously it would be easy to stick with the expectations people have and sitting in every talk show in a full gown and, you know, but as I said, I get bored so quick, and yeah, again, I just didn't say everything in that whole concept that I wanted to. I don't know, probably I always go the hard way. Now I have to explain even more than before. Probably I don't want to get too comfortable. Maybe it's that. But you know, again, it's the same. It's just boring. It's boring. It's because it bores the hell out of me, because I know what to expect. I know how to behave. I know how I'll look. It's just so boring. You know, I had the hairstyle for 2 years now, and it just bored me. And I need a challenge. You're right. I need challenges, and that probably I think that it's getting rid of things that are holding me back. Maybe it's more, I need a new challenge. But that's an interesting way to see it, and probably that's the truth. I just need to challenge myself constantly. Yeah, probably that's also why I take classic singing lessons, because that was something that's so hard to achieve, and I just try to, you know, yeah. I don't really see the Eurovision win, for me personally, as something that I'm proud of. Because everything just fell into place that time, those 2 weeks of Eurovision in my head. It's not that I'm an outstanding good singer. It's not that I'm outstanding good looking or whatever, you know. It's probably I had the right song for my taste, and I had a beautiful setting of lights and visuals, and that was not my idea, you know. So that was definitely something that elevated the whole performance. And so it's not, I'm basically not one of those people saying, oh, I'm so proud I did that so well, you know, because I just don't. I in my head, I could have sung it better than I did. I could have looked better than I did. I'm aware of the fact that, and it is a cliche, but it's truth also, that the Eurovision Song Contest is a huge following by the gay community, and we're holding together and we're believing in the same things and going the same direction. So obviously that was definitely a benefit as well, and I'm aware of that. And it's not like that I think that I was the best of the night, because I just wasn't, and but I'm still overwhelmed and grateful that people just saw something in the whole performance that they loved and liked. And so yes, I think the more I have to hustle, the more I get to the point where I would say I'm proud of myself. But that never happened in my life. Because at the end of the day, it was never that tough as I thought it would be. Because after quitting with the boy band thing, it's not that we earned millions, but for an 18, 19-year-old having the opportunity to not think about money, that's not a common thing. And I was able to shop every day at H&M, like for hundreds of euros. And it's not that I bought myself a car or whatever, don't get me wrong, but in my world back then, that was the best for me that could happen, that I can go shopping without looking at the price tags. No. I mean, obviously I had to look at the price tags if I would go to Versace or whatever, but that's not what I did. But you know what I mean? So even after quitting that, so many people said to me, oh my God, you must be so proud of yourself. You immediately found yourself a job. You went back to school and finished school, and you should be so proud. And you know what? Yeah, kinda. I think I did the right thing. I mean, what else could I have done? I mean, I had bills to pay, right? So I need to go and find a job. And I did not finish my school back then. So I thought, well, yeah, so now I'm gonna sell clothes, right? And this is what I did. And then I went back to school and I decided to finish it, and I did. And again, it's not looking back that I say, oh my God, I was so proud. It's just, gazillions of people finish their education or finish their school, whatever, after they had a break. And so that's nothing special to it, and it's back to the Eurovision Song Contest. Of course it's special, and of course it's huge, but it's not that I say to myself, oh my God, I'm so proud of myself. Well, I don't really think that I necessarily need something to be proud of. I'm happy if other people are proud of me. You know what I mean? That's way more important for me than me sitting there selfish, in love with myself, saying, oh my God, I'm so fabulous, I'm so proud of myself. That's just, gosh, it's so hard. I think I would be proud of if I don't know, if I would be able to build a school in South Africa. I think if I would have enough money to just say, I want to help and I want to do something relevant, probably I would be proud of that, But so far, there's not an approval for me that I have the feeling that I worked so hard that I'm allowed to be proud of anything. Because what I do now, and the singing and entertaining, it's nothing that needs a huge effort. It just comes naturally. It's not that I have to drag myself out of bed in the morning to get the job done. You know what I mean? It's really nothing that I think for me, pride is linked to a certain amount of effort. No, I don't feel it, because and I said that like a zillion times, it's so hard for me to process and so hard for me to understand that I, with the things I do and I say, could really change something relevant. And I know that if someone turns to me and says, you changed my life, I know that it's relevant. But for me, and don't get me wrong, of course it's overwhelming and it's still hard for me to believe, but I'm happy if they are happy. But I don't see the relevance of my persona in a big perspective. Hey, my dear Unstoppables, do you like videos like that? You know, Andre and I sitting here and talking about, you know, all the things that are going through our minds. Just let me know, and we're working on coming up with new conversations.
Do you believe success
in life after love?
Sorry, do you believe?
Sorry.
We can try to do this. But, you know, whenever I say something, you have to answer with a line
with
from
the line.
some big
lyric.
Well,
okay.
Song. So there is two ways we could continue this conversation. Are you going to sneeze? Okay.
Sorry.
The closer you get to your own personality, and the more you get Tom out and your personality out through the persona that you have, I have the impression that the more you do this, the more your true friends who have known you and followed you for a longer time, the more they discuss about your looks. And isn't that ironic? Sorry.
Isn't it ironic?
Yeah, isn't it ironic?
Don't you think?
But isn't that crazy?
It's interesting, definitely, because yeah, as you said, I have many fans who are following me since I'm 17, and I did this casting show with Tom, and I did the boy band and stuff, and rock hard, honest interviews.